We didn't hear much from the governor in her budget address about reforming the school funding formula, although it's something Democrats and Republicans alike agree needs some updating. It's a complicated formula, but our next guest is here to explain it. He's Tony Trongone, Executive Director of Great Schools of New Jersey, which represents high-needs school districts. Trongone is also the former head of the New Jersey Association of School Administrators and a former superintendent in Millville. Tony, it's so great to have you on the show. You are a consummate educator. No matter what you're doing, you understand the kind of nitty-gritty of what it means to run a district. I just want to ask in kind of layman's terms, can you explain how this formula is calculated? A lot of folks have a problem with it, but how does it calculate the needs per student per district?
Okay, Joanne, and thanks for having me. We'll talk about the adequacy budget, and the word budget confuses people because it's not a budget, it's just the theoretical cost for educating kids in that particular school district. So they look at enrollment, they look at free and reduced lunch, they call it at-risk children. They look at ELL, English language learners. They look at a combined English language learners and free and reduced lunch. They look at special ed, and then they look at speech, and that's the adequacy budget. They multiply the number of students in each category by a number, and the commissioner uses a consumer price index to multiply it, and it comes out of the machine as a number. For instance, there was a district, when you multiplied it all out, it was almost $40 million. That's what it cost to educate children in that district. And it was about a district of 2,000 students.
Now,
but
let me
then
ask,
there's a second.
Go ahead. Nope, go ahead.
There's a second step, and it's actually putting money to that theoretical piece. And so, so you look at the adequacy budget, and what the state, the Department of Ed, along with the Treasury, what they do is they figure out what it costs, what's the ability for the local municipality to pay for that education.
Right,
so,
and that's based on tax ratables, right? That's based on what folks pay in property taxes and other income that the municipality has.
Correct. And so you look at those ratables, and it's equalized valuation, and then also the district income of that municipality. They put it together. It's a 50-50 split, but I'll interject there and say that's part of the problem right now, the volatility of the property value. But they figure out, boom, at a $40 million budget where it's theoretically what it costs, it's going to cost $30 million of the local economy, the local municipality, to pay towards that $40 million.
And then the state will make up the balance, right? The state steps in and makes up the balance. You know, folks have said that this is a political process. We've heard it from countless districts that were on the losing end. You say no. Explain.
No, well, you got to go back to 1976 when Brennan Byrne put in the gross income tax because there was a legal issue going on. It was Cahill versus Robinson, then it was Abbott versus Burke, where the state needed money to provide districts and municipalities that did not have the ability to raise local taxes to provide a thorough and efficient education. So hence the gross income tax in New Jersey started in 1977. And the monies went towards a needs-based education for students.
Let me ask you this, Tony. We've seen districts on the winning end, districts on the losing end. Those on the winning end have been underfunded for years based on enrollment numbers, not getting the amount of state aid. Those on the losing end were getting overfunded even though their enrollment was dropping. And yet they say that the amounts of loss and gain haven't been fair. Are there any changes you would make to the formula right now that many agree does need to be reevaluated? What would that change look like?
Well, it would be the equalized valuation, the property value, because there lies the volatility where a district like the district I talked about went from a $30 million obligation to educate their kids to $34 million in one school year. From one year to the next, $4 million. That municipality, they didn't get the wealth in their pocket of $4 million. So therefore, they got shorted because it subtracts from the adequacy budget $4 million less the next year.
Right. So in other words, they're seeing the value of the home property, although property taxes can't increase by more than 2%. And if the property owner hasn't sold that property, there's no additional revenue for the municipality. Do I have that right?
Yes. Yes. So my friend is a teacher, makes $80,000 a year. He moved to Ventnor. He bought the house for $300,000. Now, 4 years later, that house is worth $1 million. He did not get a increase in his salary of 3 times. Like he's not seeing the wealth of his property commensurate to his salary working as a teacher.
And so therefore neither is the municipality. But what would you do to update this formula? How would you make a change there?
I would put in circuit breakers where if a district had a significant increase because of the property value, that district would be held harmless for a certain amount. That's what I would do at first to kind of stabilize what's going on there. And then the other piece is you do have to look at the adequacy budget to see exactly what those costs are for that district, because it hasn't been revised since 2008, 2009. So it's a bifurcated piece here. It's look at the property value and put some circuit breakers so that you mitigate the volatility. But then we do have to look at the cost of educating students in New Jersey in 2027, 28.
And of course, we know that healthcare costs increase. We know that transportation costs have skyrocketed, especially since the pandemic. Are you having any conversations? Have you reached out to the governor's office? Do you know if these conversations are going on with her office or the legislature?
Yes, I've been, a champion for education has been Senator Ben Gopal. And then I talked to his office, and I also talked to the governor's office, and also the new commissioner's office has been very obliging to all educators, meeting with the various stakeholder groups to get our input. And that was the big word right now is input from the practitioner about what's going on in the field.
Yeah, and of course, this is going to be an ongoing process as the budget plays out. We know we have until the end of June, a lot to happen before then. But Tony Trongone, thank you so much for the insight. Always appreciate talking to you.
Thank you.